everyone, and welcome back to Catharsis Inc. Now, as you've seen, there is a disclaimer on this video because I will be talking about some sensitive information, so listener discretion is advised. February is National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. This is an issue that impacts everyone, not just teens, but their parents, teachers, friends, and communities as well. Together, we can raise the nation's awareness about teen dating violence and promote safe and healthy relationships. At a time when an estimated 1 in 10 teens will experience dating violence, we all must take this opportunity to amplify our efforts and shine a spotlight on this important issue. Nationwide, youth ages 12 to 19 experience the highest rates of rape and sexual assault. Studies show that approximately 10% of adolescents report being the victim of physical violence at the hands of an intimate partner during the previous year. Girls are particularly vulnerable to experiencing violence in their relationships and are more likely to suffer long-term behavioral and health consequences, including suicide attempts, eating disorders, and drug use. Adolescents in abusive relationships often carry these unhealthy patterns of violence into their future relationships. And children who are victimized or witness violence frequently bring this experience with them into the playground, the classroom, later into teen relationships, and ultimately they can end up the victims and perpetrators of adult intimate partner violence. As a survivor of teen dating violence myself, this cause means a lot to me. If you or someone you know is suffering from any type of violence, seek help. If your parents are like mine and didn't care about your well-being, seek help from someone you can trust, like a school counselor, a teacher, a friend, or even a friend's parents. I have added links in the description down below for websites that offer support and services for this, so feel free to use those if need be. We might not be able to save the world, but we can do our part saving one life at a time. Now I'd like to share a short story I've written called Rosalind. It is a story based in the 1920s of a teenage girl who gets into a toxic relationship and she faces abuse from an older man. So listener discretion is advised. Mother absolutely refuses to be cordial. All I want is a bit of pocket money. That blue satin dinner dress on Fifth Avenue is divine. Oh, if I could only have it and all the clothes I wanted. But she refuses to buy anything for me. You'll never guess what Father proposed at dinner tonight. There's a secretarial posting available at his office downtown, and he's offered to put my name in for it. Hot ziggity. Mother is furious. She thinks a young lady of my standing should not work. It's just not proper. Father thinks it'll do me a world of good and teach me the value of a dime. I most certainly agree with him because I must have that dress. Father got me the job. Can you believe it? The manager must really hold him in high regard if he goes strictly by his word. I wasn't even summoned for a screening. Isn't it marvelous? That dress is sure to be mine. Oh, I can barely wait. Mother took me proper dress clothes shopping this afternoon. She said if I am to be working beside my father, I ought not embarrass him, especially where my dress is concerned. She's quite the killjoy at times, but alas, I was able to get 3 dresses, 1 hat, 2 pairs of gloves, a pair of silk stockings, and a pair of black leather T-straps. I think I made out nicely. If only I had the blue satin gown for my own. Tomorrow's Monday. I can hardly believe it. I've just about got Mother mad with all my excited talk. That she sent me on an errand this afternoon. And who do you think I happened upon downtown? None other than Charlie and Leroy Peck. They are cute and full of pep. Charlie's in my grade, but his brother Leroy graduated 2 years ago, and I think he quite fancies me. Me! Can you believe it? They asked me to bum around. Hot dog! It was a good day. My day? Where to begin? Mother woke me this morning at 5:45. It was dreadful. But then I remembered, I start my new job today. I wore one of my new dresses and pinned the side of my hair back with the emerald comb I got last Christmas. Father said I looked quite smart, and Mother even nodded in agreement. Reluctantly, I think. She really hates the idea. Ha! I rode to work with Father in his Ford Model T. Boy, did I feel like the cat's meow. I have been to Father's work before, but it was like seeing it for the first time. The racket from the typewriters, along with the other hubbub, made it quite difficult to hear anything Father was telling me. He introduced me to some of the paper boys. They were all young and full of pep. Johnny, the blonde one, is cute, but quite the cake eater, just the type Mother tells me to watch out for. Maybe I'll ask him to bum around sometime. Ha! The head secretary, Catherine, is tall and curvy with ginger hair. She smells of roses and smiles with perfect white teeth. What a doll. I'm so grungy. Father left me with Catherine for the rest of the day. I met the other girls, Rosie, Olive, Betty, Gladys, and Marilyn. They were all so lovely. I filed papers most of the day. Tomorrow I get a go on the Royal. Hotsy-totsy. I met Mr. Goodrich, Father's boss, for the second time today. We first met the time Father had brought Mother and I to a Christmas party back in 1919. I don't remember him very well, but he seems to remember me fondly. He's rather handsome for an older man, with slick black hair and a pencil-thin mustache. He says I'm doing well and that I could be running the place in no time. Hot dog. It's been a week since I last wrote, but being a secretary is tough work. I received my first paycheck today, $5 whole. Now I just need $31.80 more, and that dress will finally be mine. Mr. Goodrich called me into his office this morning. He said I'm really outdoing myself and that he'd like to take me out to dinner this evening to show his appreciation for a job well done. We are going to the Plaza Hotel. Gosh, I'm happy. Last night was grand. The Plaza Hotel was everything I expected and more. Mr. Goodrich, or should I say Nigel, ordered us a meal that was so divine. I could have sworn I dribbled like a pup. He was full of pep the whole evening and discussed his business plans with me like I was one of his reporters. He even asked me to dance like a true gentleman should. We did the Charleston until our legs ached. Gee, but he was so sweet, and flirt, oh boy. Nigel called me into his office again this morning and told me he had such a great time on Friday night that he'd like to do it again sometime with such a fun, beautiful broad such as myself. I felt my cheeks burn at the fine compliment, but my insides are jittery with excitement. We're going to the pictures to see The Lodger. Fun! A new month and new adventures. Nigel and I went to the Roxy last night, a new theater that opened in March. How extravagant! Oh, to be a star in the pictures. This morning at breakfast, Mother asked who I went with last night because the girls usually come by after. I told a fib and said Ruthie, which wasn't really fibbing because Ruthie was there with Harold, but of course I met Nigel there instead. I made sure to phone Ruthie right after in case Mother decided to call Ruthie's mother like before. She can be a real killjoy most days. Gee, was that picture thrilling. I grabbed Nigel's arm for a brief moment of fright, but regained my senses quickly and pulled away. You'll never guess what happened next. He looked down at me so sweetly and wrapped his arm around my shoulder, pulling me closer to him, and that's how I stayed the rest of the film. I can't really tell you what the film was about, though. My eyes kept peering up at his strong chin and masculine cheekbones, but what really kept my attention were his lips. They are the color of crushed cranberries at Christmas time, and his mustache is trimmed rather perfectly, that it hugs his top lip just so. He's flattering, and I like him. Jill phoned this afternoon and asked if I wanted to bum around. I agreed, and we drove downtown for an ice cream soda. Then we went around singing, "I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream," until a nasty old biddy yelled out her window for us to shut it already. Gee, but what a fun day. Nigel has been calling me into his office almost every day for the past 2 weeks. The girls are beginning to talk at work, but they're just grungy because he gives me extra incentives. Last Sunday we bummed around and he drove me to the country for a picnic. He surprised me with a brooch in the shape of 2 turtle doves, the symbol of love. I went to give him a peck on the cheek in thanks, but the dirty devil faced me at the last moment and those cranberry lips caressed mine. Oh, but I think I'm in love. If Mother knew I've been necking with a man twice my age, I'd get a lashing for sure. Catherine took me aside today at work and gave me a what for. She said she knows what's been going on in Nigel's office when the door's closed, and it's inappropriate for a young lady to be doing. She said I need to put an end to it before I disgrace my father at his own workplace. Well, she can't know what's going on, can she? Because Nigel's door doesn't bear a window. Ha! She's a grungy broad if I ever did see one, and I'm not worried about father. He's proud of my hard work, and despite having a setback in my savings, I just had to have that silk scarf. I will have that beautiful dress in no time. Here's to a new month and a new-found love. My heart, oh, I love him so. Nigel is taking me out tonight, but he hasn't told me where. The suspense is maddening. You'll never believe the night I had. Nigel and I walked hand in hand downtown, stopping here and there to peer through the shop windows. We came upon the shop with the blue satin gown, and I eyed it yearningly. Nigel turned to me and said, "Rosalind, my dear, would you like to have that?" "Oh, yes," I said, but when he turned to enter the store, I grabbed his hand in protest. "Oh, no, I couldn't," I said. Then he looked me in the eyes and said, "A gift for a job well done," and placed the most gentle kiss upon my hand. Last night feels like but a dream as I twirl in front of my mirror in the dress I've so longed for. It's divine, and I cannot believe I finally have it for my own. When I arrived at the office this morning, there was a sealed note upon my desk, with my name written in sloppy scroll. My curiosity got the better of me, I'm afraid, and I tore it open that instant. It was a handwritten invitation from Nigel, requesting my presence at his flat tomorrow evening for dinner, and that he'd love for me to wear the blue satin gown. Oh, my heart! I have not written about Thursday yet, because words seemed to fail me. It was so lovely, yet confusing. I'm not sure what happened. I must have upset Nigel. He has not spoken to me since. When I first arrived, we took a tour of his flat. How grand! His taste is quite impeccable for a man. Ha! After that, he made me a drink while dinner was being prepared. Mother would have had a hissy. His cook, yes, cook, made baked ham, carrots and peas, with a walnut bread and caramel custard for dessert. My mouth is still dribbling like a pup. But after dessert, we went into the drawing room and sat on the floor by the fire. He put his strong arm around my shoulder and pulled me close. Needless to say, it didn't take long for us to start necking. But the way he kisses, oh! When I think of his cranberry lips pressed softly against mine, his arms drawing me closer, I feel a funny, prickly sensation in my spine. He is so strong, masterful, and mannish, yet frightening all at once. His soft patience eventually turned into rough eagerness, though. When I told him to stop and that he was hurting me, he became agitated, but stopped nonetheless. However, he quickly took me home afterwards and hasn't spoken to me since. Nigel, oh my Nigel, why don't you speak to me? It's been 5 long days of agony not hearing your voice whisper my name or caress my cheek. Nigel finally called me into his office today. He said he'd been meaning to speak with me, but he's been too busy. I started to say that it was quite all right, but he crossed the room in 3 long strides and took me in his arms, kissing me hard on the lips. Before I knew what was occurring, he pushed his hand down my blouse. I tried pulling away, but he grabbed me tighter. Tears streamed down my face as I whispered, "You're hurting me." He paused and kissed me hard one last time, then said, "There's more where that came from," and winked. I shivered, straightened my blouse, and quickly left his office to return to my desk. Why is he acting of this accord? I want my Nigel back. I haven't heard from Nigel in 4 days, until this evening when he phoned. Luckily, Mother and Father were out this evening, and I answered the line. He was harsh and curt with me. He said he has given me so much with nothing in return. I told him I did not understand. I thought he said I was doing wonderful. He called me a daft broad. I was so hurt and confused at this continued behavior that I began to cry. I told him I was sorry and that I'd do better. "Not the job, you fool," he spat through the telephone. He said if he doesn't start being repaid for the things he has done for me, he will make sure Father never works for another New York paper ever again. My cheeks burned with anger at the time, but my heart still aches. How could the man I love be so cruel? Oh, Father, what have I done? How can I make this right? If it wasn't for me being so childish and wanting that ridiculous blue gown. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my short story. If you did and would like to read more of my writing, please feel free to check out my blog, Catharsis Inc., at fallenbirdie.wordpress.com. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.